Welcome back. You're still watching Daybreak, yes, Daybreak on this 19th day of August 2025. Senator Sigei, you are concluding a point about the progress that is being made in the implementation of the UDA-ODM deal.
Yes, Sam, thank you once again. I was actually running our viewers and listeners on the legislation that originated from the BBI, not BBI, but NADCO report and the status as at now in our two houses. So the first ones which I had run you through were originating from the National Assembly. Yeah. Now, the other four that was set to originate from the Senate, of course, the first one is the IEBC one, which led to the creation of the commission that is now in place. Mm-hmm. Secondly, the Election Offences Amendment Act. The Senate passed this bill on the 12th of February 2025, and a communication already has been sent to the National Assembly. It is now pending in the National Assembly. The Election Amendment Bill for 2024, we also passed it on the same day, 12th of February 2025, and this one is currently pending before the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, chaired by my colleague Senior Murugara in the National Assembly. Right. The other one is the statutory instruments. It's gone, it's pending in the Committee of the Whole in the National Assembly. And lastly, the one on the Political Parties Amendment Bill 2024, it was similarly conveyed on the 12th of February 2025.
It sounds like you're doing very well.
What I'm saying, Sam, is that we are progressing on the implementation of NADCO report and its recommendation, particularly on the legislations which were proposed. Yeah. And this, I said this because I wanted to, highlight the fact that as a leader who sits in Parliament, yeah, who also have taken the time to read and participate in the proposals that came from NADCO, it is fair always to tell the Kenyans the truth on the status of this legislation.
My question,
two,
if Parliament is already working on its own motion and yes, succeeding, why do you need a team?
This is the second aspect of now a response to your question. And I will urge my colleagues, because, we are very, we are known for the inability to spare time to read. Part of the reasons as to why the ZANI committee was formed is because previously, when NADCO was approved in both houses, we didn't have a secretariat. After the broad-based engagement, where we have had now the ODM and UDA MOU, it's prudent to have a joint secretariat to fast-track some of these processes. If you were to read this particular document, the rationale for the committee, Sam, and this is one of those things that I always say, we prepare to fail if we don't have a proper planning on how some things are implemented. And therefore, the ZANI committee is expected to now highlight, for instance...
Highlight what?
Some of these bills, for instance, which I've told you right now.
The NADCO bills are in progress.
They are in progress.
Some of them are waiting action at the National Assembly, the others at the Senate.
Yes.
So work is going on. The speakers are there. The leaders of majority and minority are there.
Perfect.
As far as the ODM deal, you're talking about protect and strengthen devolution.
Yes.
That is the work of the Senate, isn't it?
That is the work of the Senate. And if you will allow me to highlight, for example...
Just a moment. So, I'm looking at the ODM-UDA Pact.
Yes.
The first one was full implementation of NADCO.
Yes.
Which you're saying Parliament is already at an advanced stage.
Yes.
Inclusivity in budgetary allocations and public appointments. Yes. Who is supposed to do that?
That is a segment that either goes to the public service, for example, in the course of recruitment processes. Yeah. That is number one. In executive, in terms of certain appointments, which actually is now being implemented by the executive, particularly through the broad-based arrangement. Yes.
So already happening.
Yes.
Protect and strengthen devolution, you've agreed that is the work of the Senate.
Yes.
Economic investment in the youth, who is supposed to do that?
That is the government of the day.
Okay.
Yes.
Leadership, integrity, and end of opulence.
Sorry?
Leadership, integrity, and end of opulence.
It is also the executive, as well as now individual leaders who are required to comply with certain Article 10 provisions.
Right to peaceful assembly, compensation of all pending claims of rights victims. You formed a compensation team.
Yes.
Audit of, yet you know very well that actually the current institutions can do that, no?
Yeah.
Yeah,
National Human Rights Commission.
that is fine. And I heard you earlier on asking this question to my colleagues. And I was a consumer of raw information yesterday from the chairperson of this committee, Professor Makau Mutua, on the
Please allow him.
I love to
Senator, don't be distracted. Make your point.
Yes.
I'm listening.
And I want to speak to you and Kenyans. So I'm saying that I consumed that direct information by Professor Makau, who laid down point by point the fact that we have a constitution that we promulgated in 2010 towards certain achievements. It is work in progress. A child cannot be born today, begins to run tomorrow.
Okay.
Therefore,
for sure, you must scroll.
Therefore,
first. And now, listen,
allow me some. I want to finish this
Let me
point.
just finish this list, and then you can give your general, or rather your overall comments. Audit of national debt and how it was used. I don't know if it's ZANI team to do that. Fight corruption. For sure, it's not the ZANI team. You have an EACC. And you actually passed a conflict of interest bill the other day. Stopping wastage of public resources.
Imagine.
I don't think it's the ZANI team to do that. No. The ZANI team doesn't spend.
Senator, can you donate for me 2 minutes to respond to that?
And finally, protect sovereignty of the people, stop abductions, respect constitutionalism and the rule of law. What is ZANI team supposed to do with this?
Sam, I want you to be a Kenyan for a moment. No. Just having read that, having read that 10-point list, out of 10, how many did you acknowledge are work in progress?
It is not for me to acknowledge. I'm asking you.
How many, in your own words?
Unfortunately, I asked the question.
In your own words, Sam. Yes, because what I want us to agree and to be fair is the fact that you have read out 10-point items out of 10, because I want that to come from your own mouth, because you have acknowledged, number one, that legislation have progressed and Parliament is doing some good work. You've equally acknowledged the fact that we now have a committee that has been set up, for instance, to deal with this aspect on compensation. You've equally acknowledged the fact that the executive has attempted to broaden the government to have everyone on board in terms of part of appointments, and I've also told you that some of these are also done by the Public Service Commission. Now, it is quite unfair for you to close by asking, do we need a ZANI committee? When, as a matter of fact, it is an ongoing process. I would say we do, because part of what Kenyans would not know, when I and Wandeto and Dr. Baraza and Mbui speak, Masara, speaks, is seen as 4 colleagues in Parliament speaking from 2 different political formations. Why? Because they are politicians. When we go ahead and seek to implement some of these things, and I would urge, this document will go actually out to the public for Kenyans to know, so that we don't just speak because we are not happy with what is going on. We are not happy with the affordable housing programs that are doing very well. We are not happy, and we do not want to speak.
Okay, just a moment. If you allow me, just 2 minutes to...
I'll allow you one.
One.
Yeah.
First, I want to say this. When I've realized you are really concentrating on the importance of ZANI committee. But let me ask you one thing about inclusivity. When the then deputy president was talking about shares, it was the deputy president, and there was this law and all those people you are mentioning. And they wanted only 2 tribes to rule the country. There was a government, there was a constitution, there was this commission, and it was about shareholding. Nobody.
And there was a parliament.
There was a parliament. Now, as opposition, because the government was there and people were being discriminated, we say there must be inclusivity on the way things are done in Kenya, because every person is a Kenyan. That's why we are forming a ZANI commission, which the composition is both people in government and people in the opposition. This thing, let us borrow from South Africa. When Mandela was released, the first house he went to was whose house? It was Frederick de Klerk, the president who jailed him. What happened after he became the president? The Frederick Lekak was the deputy president, helped him, you can read that one, helped him to destroy laws, apartheid laws, which were discriminative. Most of the struggle in South Africa and Kenya is almost similar. So I have to do that. So check what Mandela did. This is exactly what Raila did. He was patriotic enough to put this country first so that any other thing can come when we have a country. Okay. Let me talk about also, just a moment.
You're mixing issues because I was really following the point of why we need an Agnes Zani team. Then you lost me with the Klerk and then Raila Odinga.
The point I was trying to bring home, you were talking about constitutional officers, okay, which are supposed to implement this. Yeah. My question is, when people were being discriminated, were these officers, the commissions there? When a sitting deputy president, just a moment, a deputy president, yes.
Will the Zani team correct all the ills of this country?
What we are saying,
when you have yourself sitting in parliament, do you work as a parliamentarian?
Let me tell you this. I'm telling you as a patriotic Kenyan. Even when these bad things were happening, parliament was there. And? So, you know, the world or life is not static. It is a work in progress every day. So when we realize that the parliament at a given point was captured, parliament was captured. Mbui is very much aware when he was the leader of minority this side, even a good point which he presented to the House was being rejected simply because it was coming from
parliament
the opposition.
Was captured by who?
When opposition cannot capture parliament.
Sorry, parliament was captured by who?
By the state. Because...
Who is the state?
My friend.
Yes?
The executive. Let me say the executive. Why do I say so? The MPs who are allied to the executive, the party which the ruling party by then were passing anything brought to them. So they were not reasoning. That's the truth of the matter. You can follow the answer in the parliament. Now, we are trying to do it in a way that apart from we working in parliament, Zani Commission is to me, is part and parcel of public participation because their finding will not be binding. Okay. It will be subjected to the normal parliament procedures.
How many members are in the Zani team?
Seven.
How many members of parliament do you have?
No,
None.
No. We have members of parliament in Kenya. How many are there?
349.
349.
The National Assembly.
Yes.
And 416 in total.
The senators are around
416 in total. Yeah.
So you are telling me there are 7-member team led by Agnes Zani with no constitutional responsibility.
Yeah.
Will actually correct all the ills which 416 members of parliament have been unable to correct.
What I can tell you, they have a goodwill, both from the Raila and the president.
So parliament
they can bring legislative which can cure the gaps we have in the country. It has happened before when we had a problem, when we have a crisis in 2007, there was parliament, there was law, but
it's only parliament that can pass legislation that has the effect of law in Kenya.
Yes, but they can be assisted.
By who?
By the commission. We usually go for public participation to include memorandum.
On that note of assistance, let's get assistance from what the president said yesterday about situation happening in Parliament as we transition on whether Parliament is on trial. Listen.
The latest Soko Uhuru in the Senate. Because you have to accept, by virtue of the position I hold today, I am a consumer of raw intelligence. I know what's going on. Where does somebody find 150 million? Where? Is that his money? That is money that belongs to the county. Is that correct or not correct? Yes. Let me ask you, members of parliament who are seated here. Do you, for example, know, do you, for example, know that a few members of your committee collected 10 million shillings so that you could pass that law on anti-money laundering. Did you get the money?
Okay, so Honorable Mboye and Honorable Wandeto, I'll get to you briefly from now. But Dr. Masara, you were there.
Yes, I was there.
So how was the meeting?
Okay, the meeting was well. It progresses well until almost to the tail end, when people didn't want to hear the truth.
What truth?
The truth is, the president has mentioned, it is clear that he is a consumer of raw data. There are few people in parliament who get money from others to bring to parliament, and that money is not reaching parliament.
You say few.
Yeah, the president, I am not a consumer of raw data, but the consumer has mentioned that.
How many MPs were in attendance?
No, over 200.
Over 200?
Yes.
So there are few members of parliament who collect money but they don't give to their colleagues?
Yes.
Few, right?
Few. But according to the president?
Yes, but 200 members who are many, right?
Yes,
Not few. They don't want to listen to the truth?
The issue is, Sam, when you mention members of parliament and you don't actually specify those who takes money, the blame is to all members of parliament. What we expect the president to do next, he promised to arrest those who are collecting money, because I'm sure as a consumer of raw data is able to identify them. We are expecting by next week those MPs who are collecting money and not delivering to parliament to be arrested, so that the parliament
is failing to deliver to parliament.
No, the truth is, if they are not delivering and parliament is not complaining, if they are not delivering this money to parliament and parliament is not complaining, it means there are people who are going out there to get money using parliament's name.
Okay.
Yes.
So how did it end?
At the end of the day, majority of the people who don't want change felt that they were offended. Personally, as a member of parliament, I can say this country first. I'm a patriotic enough. Corruption is eating almost 30% of our revenue. If by naming members of parliament who are corrupt.
Dr. Peter Masara, how did the meeting end?
It ended like any other meeting.
Surely.
Yes.
How did it end?
It ended like any other meeting. Yes.
There was a Q&A session?
No, we decided not to do question and answer session because we are going to members of parliament. They said no. Now we are going to our Camp Kunji, because by that time we were the host of Raila Odinga, the Prime Minister, and His Excellency the President.
They were the host.
They were the host. So we were their guest. When you are in the setting of the host and things stand the way it was, it's very difficult to ask questions, because maybe you are somebody amongst yourself are going to be arrested.
You decided there was not going to be a...
Actually, nobody even instructed the members of parliament. Everybody said, let's go for Kamkunji. We built our questions in parliament. We are parliamentarian.
They walked away.
Yes, you go.
Dr. Masara, you know, I don't know how you, I don't know how you see reality, but so you're in that meeting, the hosts are Raila Odinga and President Ruto, but you decided there's not going to be a Q&A.
Yeah, but that's optional. Is it a must?
As the guests decided there's not going to be a Q&A.
Yeah, but, you know, they were expecting question from guests.
Yeah.
The guests decided they don't have question. Is that wrong?
And so what did they?
After that, we went for lunch. I took lunch, then came back to parliament.
So what did members of parliament do after that, after deciding there's not going to be Q&A?
We are going to have a Kamkunji to discuss the speech of the president.
And they stayed there?
Yes.
Sorry, and the members of parliament stayed there?
No, many stayed. Some were hurrying to their business. It was late. It was also cold. It was raining. So very few people live in Karen.
Okay, Senator Sige, what is your appreciation of the facts yesterday?
Sam, allow me to just... Thank you, Sam. This is one of the documents that we were running through yesterday in the meeting.
How did the meeting end?
There were 3 agenda items.
Yeah.
You see, I am a lawyer, Sam.
I know what you're trying to do here.
And I'm not going to...
You blundered. Take it back.
I want to speak to Kenyans, including you, on what transpired. the meeting just didn't end. The meeting started. A conversation began on the approval of the agenda that was prepared for the day, including very serious issues that we discussed on the committee led by Dr. Zani, and also on the presentation by Professor Makau Mutua. Those were very important sessions, and above all, most importantly, the acknowledgement by the Right Honorable former Prime Minister Raila Odinga on the historic progression that we have had as a country. Starting from him, he ran us through the history, gave us countries that have some. Please allow me
Senator
to do this.
Sigei,
You've asked me a
Senator
question.
Sigei,
I want to set a basis for how the meeting ended.
Just a moment.
Honorable Raila Odinga gave us.
Let me get the discussion.
Sessions.
Sorry,
and countries.
Senator Sigei, please just follow the discussion because we need to make good use of the time that we have here. Now, what happened yesterday is that the events, the session that you attended was on live stream.
Yes.
We saw whatever you're describing.
So you don't want to listen to the rest of the good stories?
Let me set the question.
Okay.
So we saw Professor Kindiki make his speech, invite Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga came. He said all the things that he said, including NGCDF should not be in the hands of members of parliament.
Yes.
At some time he was heckled. He accused members of parliament of extortion.
Yes.
Then President Ruto came. He made his statement.
Yes.
He insisted that the Senate has become soko huru.
Yes.
Then he said, after this, I want to take a few questions.
Yes.
The stream went off.
Yes.
That's why I'm asking, how did the meeting end? He says there was no Q&A because members of parliament decided it's not going to be a Q&A.
Exactly.
And then what happened? What was the mood? What was the mood like?
Allow me also then to say, to the best that I can, for those who are listening or who are interested in listening to this conversation and this debate, after the presentation by the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga on the history that I've told you, on the countries that have failed, on the need for us to be patriotic, on the need for us to come together as Kenyans and build this country for the better of the rest of us and for the future generations. President William Ruto came, echoed much of what Raila said in terms of why did we get where we are, including the fact that we have a big problem in this country called corruption. And acknowledge the fact that in this NADCO report, corruption, when you look at the 10-point agenda, item number 3, protecting and strengthening